Two investigators looking at a big barrel of kimchi, the size of a human. A short one, but a human. Now, kimchi is this Korean dish. It's salted, mixed with vegetables, and it's fermented. It has this strong smell, and it tastes good. They make many food bowls with kimchi. But as these two investigators looking at this big barrel of kimchi, they decide to open up the lid. The first thing they see is a blanket on top, drenched in this red liquid, and they take it off and put it to the side. And as they look inside of it, they notice it's too red to see what's inside of it. So what they decide to do is get another big container. As they both lift up this heavy barrel of kimchi, they're going to pour it inside of the empty container and see what falls out of this kimchi as they pour in it. As the investigators is pouring this kimchi, the liquid is splashing everywhere, but then all of a sudden something round that's drenched in this red liquid hits the container, and they hear a big thump. They both look at each other like, you heard that? They put the barrel down, they look inside this container, and they pick it up. They notice it was a skull. He put it down, they look at each other, they're like, we have to keep going. They pick up the barrel and they keep dumping. This is when everything starts to really fall out of this container. They see what looks like a hand. It was. They see other bones, and they notice they wasn't just dealing with one person. They was dealing with two inside of this barrel of kimchi. They called this person the kimchi murderer. Snacks, 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 snacks. Thank y'all for 200K. Like, oh. Pause! Look, I started YouTube really 6 years ago. Yes, it took this channel 5 years to get to 200K. Whatever you're doing in life, all our journeys is different. Plus, I have real love for what I'm doing. I never did anything for clout. I'm not money hungry. Like, I care about y'all first. That's why I do the get your snacks thing. Thank y'all for 200K. Shout out Corey X Kitchen. I'm ready to get in this video. So y'all already know what I'm about to say. GGYS, go get your snacks.
I just started off in your world.
We gotta talk about one of the neighbors in this neighborhood. One of these neighbors called a certain apartment the stinky apartment. Every time they pass up this apartment, it has this strong smell, this foul smell that you have to cover your nose every time you pass it up. And literally, multiple people will walk past and smell the smell. And the nickname for this particular apartment was the stinky apartment. Now, mind you, in this apartment complex, they didn't know which room it came from. They didn't even know if it was coming from any room. They just all came together and said, this building smells horrible. Mind you, this is located in South Korea. This whole case. People started to question, is it mold? Is it something with the pipes? Is it something in the ceilings? What is causing the smell? Nobody knows. Is it something in the walls? Is there a body anywhere? And no one could find it. No one could know truly what was causing the smell in this stinky apartment. But of course, as expected, a lot of complaints would happen. Everyone would complain. Y'all, the smell... Y'all need to really understand how bad this smell was. Hold on. I started to get a little country. I say, hold on. Wait, let's say this is my apartment room. When I step outside to maybe take the elevator or to take the stairs for whatever reason, but I need to step out my apartment to go to work or to go get groceries. This is literally the example of how it would be. Literally out of like they're dying. I'm not being dramatic. This is literally the examples and what people saw. You need to understand that this will go on literally every day, every single day. It was so bad, people had to sleep with their windows open. You can't afford to just move out. Like, a lot of people couldn't just afford to move out to another apartment complex. Some are more expensive than others. What you also need to understand, smells that smell horrible change your mood and even your health. And we're talking about your living space every day. You know how bad this is going to affect you? It changes your mood, dizziness, headaches, even cause you to start having breathing problems. And for some people, even depression. When you think about it, that sounds about true, because when you smell something good, you immediately start smiling. You go and you like take it all in and you enjoy it. When you walk in your mom's and your parents' house, you know, your family cooking dinner, and you instantly smell that good smell of food, it brings joy immediately. And as expected, bad smells bring the opposite. So you can only imagine this going on for weeks, every single day. This is going to have a different change on your life. It's going to affect you so bad to where you might just go outside and sleep in a tent. Then that was this following day, one of the neighbors heard crying. It was from a kid. This kid is screaming, crying. It wasn't just a regular cry. He was crying really, really loud. This was so bad to the point to where he couldn't cook, he couldn't work, he worked at home, he couldn't even do that. As he was watching TV, he had to turn his TV volume almost all the way up to the max volume. This is how loud this kid was all during the day. It even got so bad, he tried to put headphones in. We can all have headphones in for so long, we're not gonna have it in all during the day. Mind you, he still smells that terrible smell. So at times, he's like, he said he keeps smelling it and keeps smelling it, that at this point, it's almost like he's eating the smell. Eventually, people started to notice where the smell would come from, and they noticed that it was from where the kid was crying at. Because this is where the smell will be the strongest. That apartment room where the kid was crying at. And the crazy thing is, no one would really complain to them. They just really thought they had a bad odor. You know, they're not really going through the best in life right now. So everyone in this apartment complex was being very nice, even though this smell was causing their life to go terrible at times. These neighbors were so sweet and so nice in South Korea that they was like, you know what? Let's go knock on the door. Which some of them did. As they open it, smell comes through. They was already wearing a mask. They could smell it through the mask. It was like, we can clean your place. No payments. I would love to clean this place. But when they look at the lady, she doesn't respond. She just gives them this look. When she gives them this look, everyone stays quiet for a couple of seconds and the door just closes. Now we gotta go back to that neighbor who was smelling that bad smell, who couldn't work, who couldn't do anything, and who was hearing that kid just cry his eyes out. At this point, he's hearing bad smells. He can't take the smell. He's losing his mind. And he's just telling himself, like, what do I do? What do I do with myself? What is going on with my life? And he just says, you know what? I'm going to go to this neighbor's place, knock on the door, tell them to stop the kid, yelling at him, grounding him, whatever it is. But he needs to stop crying. So as he goes up to the neighbor's place, he knocks, but no one answers. When he was knocking, he heard the kid say, please call my mom. I want mommy. I want mom. Now, the neighbor immediately thought, oh, this is why the kid is crying. He's home alone. He's by himself. He's probably scared. He just don't want to be home anymore. The neighbor tells the kid, just stay calm. It's not much I can do because, you know, you can't just take nobody's kid and bring him into their apartment. So he says, just stay calm. Your mom is going to be there soon. As he walks off, he came back later that night to check up on the kid to see if mommy was there. As he knocks, he noticed mom was not there at all. That was just the first day. The kid was crying all day. No mom. The second day, you know, he's thinking it's morning now, but he still hears the kid crying. This is unbelievable. What kid cries this much? It's crazy, right? You would think that I'm lying, but I'm dead serious. The kid was literally crying still. Should have lost his voice by now. But that whole day, during the second day, the kid was crying and crying and crying. Then there was the third day. The neighbor decided to come up with a plan. This is when it's about to get a little. That neighbor decides to get a couple of the residents. He needed somebody special for this plan that he had. He needed a woman. And he needed her to do one thing. Pretend to be your mom. So when he got this woman, because, you know, she knows about all of this, everything that's been going on with the smell, with this apartment, and the kid crying, she was happy to do this plan. Now, as she knocks on the door, a couple of the residents that was with her decide to all move out the way. Even her, she hides a little bit. And they hear the footsteps of the kid. The woman says, hey, sweetie, I forgot my key. It's your mom. Can you open the door? The kid tries opening the door, but he starts crying. This confused the neighbors because the door is jingling, but then he says, I will not open it. I'm not opening it. And the kid runs off, but the kid starts screaming and crying. They don't know if he tried to open it or he changed his mind while opening it. They just really couldn't understand why he just didn't open the door. They didn't understand why the mom not showing up, and they didn't understand why he keeps crying. Well, they knew it had something to do with his mom not showing up, but the kid not opening the door is what confused them the most. At this moment, the neighbor decides to call 112, the emergency number, and the neighbor tells the police, there's this kid. He's home alone. He's been home alone for 3 days now, and he's just crying and crying. Please, I need y'all to check on this kid. When the police get there to do a wellness check, as they knock on the door, and as they say that they're authority and that they're police, and if the kid looks through the peephole, because we couldn't really get the info if he did or didn't, but he knew that there was the police, but he didn't open the door for the police as well. But police also heard the kid start crying. The police comes up with a plan themselves. The first plan, we're just gonna break down the door. Yes, as they're breaking down the door, it doesn't work. It made the kid even much more scared and start crying even louder. They're on the second floor, so they decide to climb up to the balcony. I guess they used a ladder. They got to the second balcony, but the back door was locked. Then they seen a window. Now, when they got to this window and they seen it, it was unlocked. When the officer got inside of this apartment, he described it as him almost falling, like almost passing out, because that's how bad the smell was. What gets his attention the most is when he looks around. He could not believe what he was seeing. He seen bags and bags and bags everywhere around this apartment. When you look at the bathroom, it is completely ransacked, completely ruined. Then you get to that area where you wash clothes, completely ransacked. And now I don't want to say ransacked like someone went in there, robbed the place, but it was just completely ruined. Everything looked a hot mess. This did not look livable. Now you see how crowded and how dirty and how messy this place is. Immediately we can all say, well, this is where the smell is coming from. This is why everybody is panicking over this crazy smell. This is probably why the kid is crying as well. I can't believe he had to live in it. Not only that, as you look around in this place, you see tons of maggots and flies. So much that is unbelievable. Imagine it like this. Your room, maggots. Even the bed, maggots, flies. So if you was to lay down, you would almost look like a body because of how quick they're gonna cover you up and crawl on you. Oh my gosh. That is so gross. That is so gross. Me moving like that, that's because I literally really got the creeps just now. Like, I can only imagine, no wonder why the kid was crying that much. He couldn't sleep. You can't sleep in that. There's no way you can't sleep in that. Now remember, we're on that officer going through the window and going inside of this place. The kid is still crying. He has to get the kid at this point. He's covering his nose and he's seeing roaches everywhere as well. Oh my goodness, roaches. Now, it's not the big roaches, it's the small ones. Now, you know, if you see the small ones, it's because you have an infestation. The big ones means that you just around a bunch of trees, tree roaches. The small ones though, these ones could literally crawl in your ears while you, okay, I'm sorry. I'm getting way too detailed. I know a lot of you creeped out right now, probably eating. Then he goes to the cleanest room of the house, but it's still filthy, really, really filthy. Matter of fact, this room had rats in it. As deeper as I keep going in this story, it just keep getting worse. Yes, he see them crawling everywhere around. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Now, as he goes in this room, there's a bed. Now, as you looking at this bed is unbelievably filthy. This is the only place, the only spot that the kid could have been sleeping, mind you, if he wasn't standing up because of how dirty this was. You see trash all over, and you see, of course, those blue trash bags filled on side of the wall. And on the bed, it looks like it's a bunch of food everywhere, or maybe that's just trash. Now, as the officer in this room, he looked at the kid crying, and as he's staring at the kid in the corner, basically he said this kid looked like he was out of reality. He almost looked like he was out of there. Now, this one is definitely a head scratch, and that was genuinely a head scratch because he said that his eyes was blue. The white part of your eyes was blue. I've never in my life seen that unless someone tattooed it, but for it to be that color, I'm asking myself, what happened, literally? And how is that even possible? Now, as I looked this up, it's actually a condition in many kids. It's actually a genetic condition that affects tissues in the body. Iron deficiency may cause the white part of your eye to look blue. Won't have pain or other symptoms with the white part of your eye being blue. I had to look into that because that almost creeped me out a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie. When I say creep me out, I don't mean in a terrifying way, but I mean like in a way that I'm worried. Now, investigators, police, they decide to go door to door to door to ask questions about this apartment, the lady, the kid who lives in this apartment. People would say, I believe the mom and the son lives there alone, but men would come in and out that apartment. Like, I would see different men coming in and out often. Police will also go on to say, when we went inside of this place, we immediately know that someone passed away in this apartment because humans have a certain stench or certain smell. So when the police is smelling this, he knew immediately that something bad happened to someone in this apartment. Or it was by accident, or it was a natural cause, but he knew that it happened. But he was so focused on the kid, he was so focused on getting him out of there with the kid, that they was going to do an investigation on this apartment later. Now, this is where it's about to get terrifying and creepy. Stay with me. As the police go inside the apartment, they go through these trash bags. They have to. They're trying to find evidence and clues, and they're trying to find things. So they decide to go through these trash bags with this terrible smell. And as they searching the apartment, this one room stood out, and this is when everything changed. As they going to this room door, they open it, and they notice this big red barrel and he seen this big red barrel, he literally froze. You can see on body cam, he literally freeze because he knows that when he lifts this up, he might see things that he don't want to see inside this red barrel. You know what? I'm gonna lift the lid up. As he lifted up, he sees the blanket. It's drenched in this liquid. He puts it to the side, and then they decide to get a container, any container that they can find, because this barrel is so big that they have to dump and look to see what comes out of it. And they find pieces of bodies, and they discovered that it was 2 people drenched. The way how I dived into this story, understand that's how everyone thought. Everyone thought that she was making kimchi out of people. So I wanted to come into this story to tell it in this way, because this is how everyone thought at first. This is how the public and the locals thought, but that wasn't the case. Actually, in this red container was not kimchi at all, but it was fermented, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but this was said, because we have to go back, because remember when I said people will call her the kimchi murderer, and this liquid that I was talking about that was in this red barrel, I really don't know what it was, but it was some fermented liquid. Now that you get on how this kimchi thing all started and how the locals possibly thought, oh wow, she's making that out of it. Now that you get that, they brought this barrel in to investigate it and to test it and to see who these bodies belong to. They discovered the first person in this kimchi bucket realized that's why people thought there was kimchi inside this liquid at first, because it's a kimchi bucket. This is things that people use to pour inside sometimes when you're having a big event. First person that they discovered inside of this kimchi bucket after doing some testing was Mr. Park. Apparently, they went to the family. They went to Mr. Park's son, James. James gave a story and he said, well, my dad, when I was younger, my dad just left us, me and my mom, and we never seen him again. We was honestly worried, and it's been 10 years now and we have no idea and no clue where our father is even at. James thinking to himself, is my dad still here? That's what he telling the cops. Is he alive? Is he okay? And the police just looks at James, shakes, nods his head, and the convo was ended there, because what ended up happening was James and his mother helped carry Mr. Park inside of this kimchi bucket. And he been in this kimchi bucket for 10 years. I don't know, things is getting crazy. But how did this even start? Well, the son James, he was a couple feet back. He seen his mom in the kitchen. All he could see is his mom back, like she was bent over. This is basically all the son could see. Immediately, the son is thinking the mom is just making kimchi. As he walks closer and closer and closer to her, he didn't notice that the mom was actually like this. I'm the mom, this is the dad. Her hand was on the dad's chest like this. She put on this act. She was like, your father, he died from natural causes. I don't know what happened. I'm trying to save him and I can't. You know, she was basically making the whole thing up, the mother. James looking at his father, and of course he trusts his mom, so he's believing everything that she's saying. So as she's trying to survive him with every pump, she knew he wasn't waking back up, but the son didn't. The son thought there was hope still. The son thought they'd probably bring him back to life, but the mom wanted to put on the act of her trying to do everything in her will to revive him. Now James is looking at this. The mom looks up at him and says, we have to put him in the bucket, the kimchi bucket. James looked over in the room and says, that bucket? She says, yes, help me. It'll be okay, sweetie. Everything will be fine. Just help me put him in the bucket, and we're gonna keep him there until we call a funeral home and until we do everything that we need to do, but everything will be okay. Just trust mama, sweetheart. That's all you have to do is just trust mama. He trust mama. He caught himself feeling all types of emotions, but at the end of it all, he ended up helping his mom. This mother, her name is Lee. Now, she has 2 sons. That kid that was crying all day, and the son named James. James, he is older. I wish I knew his exact age, I would tell you, but he's older. He's not fully grown. He's under the age of 20. But when he helped his mom with that kimchi barrel or bucket, whatever you want to call it, he was really young, and he trusted his mom, and he let a decade go by without saying a word because he cared for his future. Now that he's a bit older now and the police is just questioning him about his father, because they found his father, I think he noticing that things are starting to catch up to him and his family, him and his mom to be exact. Also understand that the father, the kid who was crying all day, that's just James' father. Now the kid who was crying all day, is it possible that the second person who's in this bucket of kimchi could be his father? Possibly. James do not live with his mom as well, so when they went to go question James, he was not even with his mom around this time in that stinky apartment. They discovered that, of course, the second person inside of this kimchi bucket was one of her other boyfriends, but this boyfriend, he just vanished. Family knew that Miss Lee would date this man. Family would even call Miss Lee and say, is our boyfriend okay? Is anything wrong? She would scream at them and say, he cheated on me, we're not together no more, bye, and just hang up. So when this boyfriend of hers that the police now know that she had a past with, he just vanished, they believe immediately he's definitely the second person in this Kimchi bucket. Not only that, she's gone. So they put missing posters everywhere to try to find her. They wonder if she's on a run or what's even going on with her, but nobody knows where she's at. Even that kid that was crying all day had no clue what even happened to his mom. They decided to track this mother on CCTV footage. Like I keep saying, in a lot of these cases, it's going to be hard to get away with murder because now we have cameras everywhere. But as they tried to track her, she was in a blind spot and they lost her and they couldn't track to where she went. But they tracked her phone and they found out who she kept calling late at night. And this person is anonymous. It was actually a foreigner, someone who didn't live in South Korea. While he lived in South Korea, he's not from South Korea, but he's living in South Korea. They also noticed that this number with this anonymous person, he works at a factory. Not only does he works at a factory, he lives at this factory. Neighbors will also say, you know, the neighbors around his stinky apartment will also say the mother, she doesn't come home at all. So immediately the first thing they're going to do is go to this factory. They go to this anonymous person place. I guess he lived right next to the factory. As they go to his place, they knock on the door and they see him peek through. When he cracks the door open a little bit, he's really nervous. The police was like, can we speak to Lee? He says, I don't know who that is. I've never seen her, never talked to her before. So he played this role of not knowing who she was. The police then walks off. What he didn't know was the police was going to do a search warrant on him. 2 days go by, they knock again. He doesn't peek this time, he opens the door wide and they say, we know Lee is here. We would like to talk to her. But he says, she's not here. I don't know who she is. As he's looking side to side, this weirdness. They ask him again and he looks to the side. I don't know who she is. She's not here. They notice his behaviors. The way he's acting is strange. The police looked at this as maybe he's just nervous. When I heard this, I'm looking at it as it's a sign. It's a sign for her to hide. It's a sign for her to either run through the back. That's what I got from that. The police walk inside of his home. They found her. She was hiding. And they arrested her. It indeed turned out the first person, as we know, that was in the Kimchi bucket was the father, James' father. Second person was that boyfriend that I talked about, who's, I believe, anonymous. I can't find any pictures of him, but it was a boyfriend that she dated. And this anonymous person who she was hiding by, I don't know if that was her third boyfriend. Who knows if he could have been next? But this went viral in South Korea. When she was getting questioned, she would say, I'm sorry. Then she would change up her sorry again because the investigators would question her with different questions. So the first I'm sorry was, I'm sorry. Second one was, I'm sorry. The third I'm sorry was, I'm so sorry. The fourth I'm sorry was like, I'm sorry. It made the investigator's head tilt because it was like she was practicing her sorries. She was trying to sound sorry, but she really wasn't sorry. So she had psychopathic tendencies. But she really didn't feel any emotions at all for any of this. She was just practicing during the interrogation, which is really creepy. Now, Kimchi, it's really in the back of my head and it's something that I really do want to try. I don't know, this case had me very interested in it. Yes, I got kimchi. I just want to say the scent is very strong. Once you take this out, you can smell it. It smells up the whole house. This is the kimchi. This is my first time ever trying this. Now you can either eat it as some type of soupy bowl dish with like pork, but I decided to do it with shrimp fried rice. Honest review, it's honestly crazy that I'm eating this after I just finished talking about murder on this basically. Now before I try it with the fried rice, I'm gonna try it by itself. This is gonna taste so fire with the fried rice. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, I'm eating like a pig. This is good. Y'all, I'm gonna add more to it, but this is good. It got a little spice to it, a little sweetness to it. Oh my god. So good.
Chill.
Yeah, hold up. Yo. So I got it from this restaurant. You can read that? That's the restaurant that I got this from. And it did not disappoint. Y'all, I'm about to finish this. Y'all had y'all snacks, y'all had y'all food, dinner, dessert. With that being said, I'm ending the video here. I'm about to go watch a movie, put on a movie. I love you. Stay safe. The world is crazy. Till next time. Bye.
you really wanna fuck with me, maybe you should come try and see.